Good evening. Today is the 30th day of January 2017. We are continuing our series, Explorations in Savitri, with Alok Pandey. We are continuing also in the book 2, the book of the Traveler of the Worlds, Canto 6, Kingdoms and Godheads of the Greater Life. We are on page 196, the third line down from the top. With all the wonderful things that life tries, now he begins to see that there's nothing here.
Absolutely. As Mother said in one of the places, that human beings, till 60, they are just going through experiences of life. And by 60, they learn what is the right way to live. And then by the time they are fully equipped to live it, they are 80. So it's the misfortune is that we are late learners. So, but life has its way of teaching the lesson, or the soul has its way of learning the lesson. So that's the only difference.
I was, for the past 2 days, working on this question and answers for a world in crisis, and I was looking at youth, because these young people are so interested. Where Mother says that one can be young at 80 and
absolutely.
old at 20.
True.
So,
A fire to call eternity into time. Make bodies' joy as vivid as the soul's. Earth she would lift to neighborhood with heaven, labor's life to equate with the supreme, and reconcile the eternal and the abyss. Now, this looks very nice. Of course, it should be like that. The body must experience the joy of the divine. And there should be a link between the abyss and the heights. It's no use just simply escaping into the supreme above. There must be that truth, that beauty, that grandeur, that glory created here, a heaven upon earth. And there have been people who have tried it, several peoples. I mean, today in India, we have Gandhiji's, the day of he died, he was shot. Again, a kind of a sentimental idealism that things should be like this, things should be like that. But it doesn't work out. And the reason is that we catch a glimpse of that truth in the mind and the life. It is a reflected truth, it's not the real thing. It's like the moon, it's a reflected light. There's nothing like the light of the moon. And we can write romantic poetry based on the light of the moon. But
as Arjava did.
But that's it. It ends there. So that is the problem of life, that it can dream, it can imagine, it can attempt. And it attempts. It attempts in a number of ways. But it doesn't succeed because that true basis is missing. That one single thing which changes everything. And that's why all those who have gone beyond, they've always said that first strive for that one true thing. Dilip Kumar Roy had this problem, so he would often ask Aurobindo, he said, well, there are those who walk alone on the path. There are some who like to carry the baggage. So, fine, it's up to them. Don't disturb them. But one day one learns that eventually you have to first get there by yourself. Then the rest of it can work out. And that's what we see in Mother and Aurobindo's life. And that is the difficult part. Her pragmatism of the transcendent truth fills silence with the voices of the gods. But in the cry, the single voice is lost. I read a beautiful story, I think I recounted it, about Narada's, you know, Narada asks the Lord, tell me about Maya. He says, fetch me a glass of water. I'm running through the story in brief. So Narada goes to fetch a glass of water from a well where he falls in love with a maiden and ends up eventually marrying her, having children. And he's very happy. He's saying, God is so kind, so merciful. He has given me such a beautiful life, lovely wife, lovely children. And one day there is a tragedy and all of them suddenly die in a great fire. And that night he is tossing and turning in the bed, saying, but why, my Lord? Why are you so cruel? And he hears that single voice in his heart, but Narada, I am still thirsty. I'm still thirsty. He had gone to fetch the water. So, this is the problem, that when we look at life from the ignorant eyes, then we also make a big hullabaloo about things. That's a different thing, because the white loves drama. Small issues, it makes it very big. But very often the tragedies in the vital are boons for the soul, and vice versa. The successes of the vital are very often tragedies for the soul. So this is the big problem, because it loses that single voice. And when all doors are closed, there is a chance that we will open that door through which we can hear that single voice. And without that, it's the authentic word of creation. Without that, you cannot create. There is another, much later, when we talk about the gods, Savitri, when she is going to find her soul, she sees a lot of luminous beings going on the surface to help mankind. And she is rushing inside. So she asks them. He says, in contrary terms, she met life's riddle. They going out to help mankind, she going inside to discover her soul. So you have to first find that.
And some feeling satisfied that they have found it.
Yes, that vital can create many things. Vital, mind, they can all play the trick. For nature's vision climbs beyond her acts. How beautifully. So she can see that there is something, but she cannot reach out to it. It's like the sea heaving up to touch the moon, but collapses after a while. A life of gods in heaven she sees above. A demigod emerging from an ape is all she can in our mortal element. That's all it can create. It can people the skies with the gods who are living, of course, and it can see some kind of a demigod emerging out of man. Here, the half god, the half titan are her peak. At best, in human being, she can create half god and the half titan. So a part is colored by the heights, though within the realm of cosmic ignorance, up till the overmind gods. Still it will uplift a human being to at least some stature of the gods in one part. But the rest of his body is stuck in the mud. So here the half.
And this seems to be the Godheads of the greater lives.
Yes.
Only purpose.
Yes. This greater life wavers twixt earth and sky. A poignant paradox pursues her dreams. Her hooded energy moves an ignorant world to look for a joy her own strong clasp puts off. This is a paradox.
Yes.
The moment it tries to seize and possess a joy, it fits. It's like people who go for window shopping. Very often it's recommended for depression. And by the way, it helps. It helps as long as it is only window shopping. So you go and see, you appreciate, your mind is diverted. Helps in that sense. Temporarily you feel very good. But the moment you want to buy and possess, problems start. You look into your pocket or your husband's pocket, or now times are changing, your wife's pocket. And then if you buy it, then, to keep it, to preserve it, people to appreciate it, or the fashion changes. Now you see 100 problems you buy along with buying that object. But as long as you appreciate it from a distance is fine. Oh, it's so nice, beautiful. But you want to own it, the strong clasp, this joy is mine, it's gone.
Yeah.
You can't have something like a my joy, my personal joy. It slips away. So this is the paradox of life. In her embrace, it cannot turn to its source. And the mother says this about particularly human love. She says when two human beings love each other and try to lock them in each other's embrace, they cut off from the universal joy. And so after a while, it loses its joy, it loses its happiness, and things turn bitter because it's cut off from the universal current of joy. So this is exactly how. Immense her power, endless her acts vast strive. Astray is its significance and lost. So the significance of life is to find the divine and manifest. That it has lost. But it has tremendous power. So it will create a lot of things. But that one thing it has lost. Although she carries in her secret breast the law and journeying curve of all things born, her knowledge partial seems, her purpose small, on a soil of yearning tread, her sumptuous hours. There is still a yearning after everything, after every milestone, every achievement. You end up with, what was it after all? What for?
Even though she carries it all in her breast.
Yes, yes. A laden nescience weighs the wings of thought. Her power oppresses the being with its garbs. Her actions prison its immortal gaze. So the reason is that it's not yet freed from the clutch of the inconscience. That still holds its feet, its roots within its grasp, and can any day pull down its superstructures. This is the problem. That's why Aurobindo, to establish the new creation, digs deep and deep and deep. And that's why marvelous, fantastic experiences have to be suspect. Mother speaks of that. In this yoga, there is no scope for anything else except truth creation, which means the roots also have to be true. Down into the soil, and the force doesn't spare. It labors and labors till the solid foundation is built. That's why Aurobindo insists on equanimity, peace, calm as the first foundation of yoga, and not to build superstructures of dreams, half imaginations, half experiences, half fantasies, because unless this is deep and true, it will collapse.
Yes.
A sense of limit haunts her masteries, and nowhere is assured content or peace. For all the depth and beauty of her work, a wisdom lacks that sets the spirit free.
Yeah.
And this we see even with the gods, powerful beings. Still there are limits. Even they quarrel. Even they get jealous of each other, and sometimes even of human beings, because they realize their limits. The moment they see something or someone who can do better, who can go beyond their arc into the infinity of the sheer truth, they try to tie him down, pull him down, because they also realize they are limited beings. An old and faded charm had now her face. Ashupati is seeing through the entire gamut of life, and it's also true that, say, at a younger age, we get enchanted by many things. But as wisdom comes, as we grow slowly, that charm begins to fade away. There is a charm, but it cannot hold for long because it tends to, you can see through it. So old and faded charm, there is a charm. It's like your old dress which you are fond of at one point of time, but you realize, so it's like that. And palled for him her quick and curious lore, His wide soul asked a deeper joy than hers. So Ashapati is a yogi, so he has been able to see through this very fast. Otherwise, an average, ordinary humanity needs lives to understand this simple thing. Out of a detailed lines, he sought escape. So Ashapati knows now this is enough. I want to go beyond.
Exactly.
He's trying to tap. Which way? Where is the door? Where is the postern? Where is the gate? And this is a very interesting line.
Yes.
But neither gate of horn nor ivory, neither in hell there is a door, neither in heaven he finds a door. He just can't cross beyond this arc. All around it's as if he's surrounded. He found nor postern of spiritual sight. There was no issue from that dream-like space. Caught in a dream. And it can be really, if we come to think about it, that to be caught in a dream, it's such a helpless state. It may be a pleasant dream, it may be a nightmare. And imagine if you don't know how to end it, because in waking life, you at least know that you can close your eyes. But when your eyes are closed and you are dreaming, then we are not taught the way of simply opening the eyes. It's not given to us. We are caught in a dream. So look, the experience.
And often we can't get out of
We
it
can't get out of it. That
until we wake up.
until we wake up, which comes only by the touch of grace.
Yes.
Because we don't know that even that this is a dream and we have to wake up. This sense is not there.
Yes.
So,
Now he gives us something different.
yes, why don't read?
Our being must move eternally through time. Death helps us not. Vain is the hope to cease. A secret will compels us to endure.
So those who like to find an exit through death, they must know this. There is no exit. You can't escape by dying. You will end up in a worse nightmare. Mother has said, if you don't face and take on the difficulty of this life and resolve it in this very life, you will come back in much more difficult circumstances. Well, life doesn't leave you. It will hammer and hammer and hammer. So might as well go through the test of fire.
Our life's repose is in the infinite. It cannot end. Its end is life supreme.
Marvelous.
Death is a passage, not the goal of our walk. Some ancient deep impulsion labors on. Our souls are dragged as with a hidden leash, carried from birth to birth, from world to world. Our acts prolong after the body's fall the old perpetual journey without pause. That's what you were just saying.
Yes. Only thing is that at this point we are still dragged by death, who is dragging us. But we have to give this leash now in the hands of the divine. That's the difference. But that has to be done very consciously.
Yes.
Tomorrow is Amrit Das, the day when he left the physical body. Our acts prolong even after body's death. So mother says that there are people who have died, they don't know they have died. And they continue to act in those domains as if they are alive. They will start living in hell because they believe they must go to hell. They have done great sins. There are people who create heavens of their own and they are trapped in it. So all kinds of things happen. Some of them continue to try and influence earthly life.
Yes, that's in Savitri.
And yes, and there are many interesting possibilities, he says. So with Amrita, it was very nice. So with Amrita, he told mother he wants to continue to help. So the mother kept him in her atmosphere, and she says, mostly he rests in me. Repose is in the infinite. But time to time he likes to help people who are on earth seeking. With Pavitrada, she says there was no ego. So it was completely formless. She had to give him a form so that he can continue to act. But that is a different kind of action, completely reposed in the infinite as well as acting upon earth. And I suppose those who have lived a life dedicated to the mother, even after death, the same thing happens. Recently, Chomdi has passed away, an year and a half back. And I was very close to her, many beautiful things, and she was working in mother's room. She's, after her passing away, sudden passing away, how she passed away, that was a story in its own right. But obviously, time to time, I would feel that, where is she? And, of course, she's with mother, but just to know. Till I saw two dreams in which I saw that she is actually working in mother's room. But this dream, this sense, was confirmed to me by somebody in the ashram who has occult vision and occult knowledge. He says, Chomdi went there and she asked mother, so now I don't have a body, what work shall I do? And mother told her, why? You continue to do the same work here. Now that means at another level, parallel to this universe, in the subtle physical, with Pavitra Das he said that he lives with Sri Aurobindo. I had given him an individuality and he comes here and rests with me in the subtle physical. So imagine, what all is possible, and death does not. Now, at the same time, she says there are people who are very attached to money. She says when they die, then the acts prolong after the body's death. So they go and start guarding their money. And usually some serpent, they take hold of some such creature. And this serpent, mother said, these are true stories. She said, I've actually seen. So this serpent actually goes and guards the wealth. Actually, it is not the serpent, but the force which has driven the serpent to go there and find a place. And says, paradoxically, because of the serpent's presence, people end up finding it. Because, serpent is a serpent. At some point, people notice, kill the serpent, and poor fellow actually leads them to the wealth. So, we should be very careful. And the kind of life we live, imagine, at least now we have ways and access, we have friends, we have so many things we can do. But after departure, we will be caught and trapped by that consciousness which is haunting us while we are living in the body. So we should be so careful and so consciously try to put ourselves whole soul in the hands of the divine. But look at this, just one line. Our acts prolong after the body's fall.
In a positive way also, Mother speaks of the musicians whose hands incarnate in another musician.
And Pavitra Dachandi in a positive way. So if we have served the divine, we continue to serve. So there's the beauty of it.
Yes.
We should not worry. Sometimes people say, oh, what will happen in next life? Well, if in this life you have served the divine, why should you worry at all? It is his problem, his worry. So how beautiful it is. No silent peak is found where time can rest. This was a magic stream that reached no sea. I used to wonder, there are actually streams or rivers on earth which don't drain into the sea and are not born from the glaciers. And they have mysterious origins. Some of them are coming out of the mountains. And where do they go? They don't end up with the sea. Sometimes they will keep circuiting, go somewhere, or they will, of course, join some river, things like that. So this is a magic space where you are locked. You go down the river thinking you will end up with the sea, but you end up back on the same point. So it is actually a river, Shipra river in Madhya Pradesh, and they have a big mela around the river, and this river goes around almost like a parikrama. Comes back. So it's very funny that there are rivers like that. They don't actually end up in the sea, but they are there. They are like, they don't dry up like this. However far he went, wherever turned, the wheel of works ran with him and outstripped. Always a farther task was left to do. a beat of action, and a cry of search. Forever grew in that unquiet world. A busy murmur filled the heart of time. All was contrivance and unceasing stir. There was a restlessness, constant action, action, action without repose, without that true basis of action. 100 ways to live were tried in vain.
And there it is.
This is the tragedy, this is the irony. Maybe this one, maybe that one, maybe here, maybe there. At the end, in vain. A sameness that assumed 1,000 forms. Ah, this is new, this is correct, this is perfect. But at the end, you discover the same hollowness, sameness, the illusion.
That 100 ways to live.
Yeah.
Nolini once told me when I wrote a long letter about the difficulties in Aurobindo, he said, "It need not be like that. She is trying 1,000 different ways."
Yes, the Divine Mother knows all the ways. She makes sure eventually,
Yes.
if necessary, even shaking us up. Strove to escape from its long monotone and made new things that soon were like the old. And that is why Aurobindo cautioned. He said, I have no intention of giving my sanction to the old fiasco.
Yeah, a new edition.
New edition of the old fiasco and an old wine in a new bottle.
Yeah.
You see so many spiritual movements, but at the end they all become otherworldly, illusionist. So it's the same story, but being told to us in packaged with the modern mind. So it's quite understandable. If you don't get past this zone, you end up with a sense of illusionism, because at the end you only say, life is meaningless, it's all an illusion. A curious decoration lured the eye, and novel values furbished ancient themes to cheat the mind with the idea of change. If you look at humanity 10,000 years back, you look at it now, they keep changing. The words change, the tone changes, the method changes.
Furbishing. Ancient
See, we
ideas.
started from dictatorship, went through many experiments, then socialism, capitalism, democracy. Now again you have dictators sitting and you don't know which one is better. See the paradox. That's what I was mentioning. Someone was telling me about, Mr. Trump. I said, don't you see the paradox that the very idea of freedom of human beings has given birth to a dictatorial person like Trump. So now, you decide which is better. He has been chosen in freedom, will of the people. Now, what do? You can't protest because you believe in human freedom and freedom of thought. So now freedom of thought has put you full circle back to that point where somebody you believe will take away your freedom of thought. But your freedom of thought have put him there. So you are caught in an impasse because you cannot create perfection by these means. And mind and vital have to understand it. And sometimes a benevolent dictator may turn out to be a better bet.
Yes.
Who knows?
And yesterday we had a glint of something.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Yes.
He and Modi's conversation that US and India have to have much stronger ties.
He's voicing what many people felt as an undercurrent but never voiced it.
Exactly.
So it becomes the voice of the world. Now, of course, when human beings do a thing, they go swing into all kinds of extremes, and then there are recoils. Life moves within that circles of action, reactions, retribution, counteractions. So, but at the end, you realize that this is not going to resolve the issues of human beings. There is no other way except transformation. No human system, man-made system. Look, this is the product of democracy at the end.
Yeah.
We believed in democracy. We believe in democratic principles and would give our lives for freedom. So here is freedom. speaking through Trump. So what's the problem? Now you see. That's the big paradox. We have turned full circle. Look at the logic and the irony of the situation. The country standing for liberty has ended up with a man who, so whatever way we look at it, there is always a deep wisdom, but there is a humor, divine humor or satire, you look at it in the whole thing. So that's what we have to remember, to cheat the mind with the idea of change. A different picture that was still the same appeared upon the cosmic vague background.
Again and again.
Again and again. And we'll keep seeing these cycles till humanity at some point learns what Aurobindo said, and the mother said it's urgent because time presses. She said, Aurobindo said, if only man consents to be spiritualized. And then she added, after describing this whole thing, and I must add, time presses. It's urgent. If only man consents to be spiritualized. There is no other way. Only another labyrinthine house of creatures and their doings and events, a city of the traffic of bound souls. What do you expect? Man is bound by 100 bonds, vital or mental, doesn't matter. His works will be imperfect. A market of creation and her wares was offered to the laboring mind and heart. A circuit ending where it first began. That's what we were, mentioning. Ending where it first began. So it has, come full circle, which is in a way is good sign that dragon chasing its tail, when it reaches that point, now something will burst forth in humanity. Is dubbed the forward and eternal march of progress on perfection's unknown road. Each final scheme leads to a sequel plan. Yet every new departure seems the last. Inspired evangel, theory's ultimate peak, proclaiming a panacea for all time's ills, or carrying thought in its ultimate zenith flight, and trumpeting supreme discovery. The name has come. Trumpeting supreme discovery. Each brief idea, a structure perishable, publishes the immortality of its rule, its claim to be the perfect form of things. Truth's last epitome, time's golden best. See, some time back, when the previous president of the States was there, I remember when he came to power, a lot of people cried with joy. That look, at last now we have changed. There is a change. Ultimately, there is a black who has become a president and he is so full of compassion, so nice. Now we are in for the golden age. The same system which created or seated an Obama is the same system that brought a Trump. So where do you look for salvation? You have to look within and realize that unless we change spiritually, not just keep on painting, nothing will change. Because that's the whole circle.
And Sri Aurobindo is so humorous.
So humorous here. And last few lines. But nothing has been achieved of infinite birth. Nothing has been achieved, but nothing has been achieved of infinite worth. A world made ever anew, never complete. Piled always half attempts on lost attempts, and saw a fragment as the eternal whole. So here we are.